Hello everyone, what's going on? This is RJ from Game News USA here today. And we're going to go over a movie review. It's Night Swim. Yeah, this came out really early in January of this year, but I'm catching back up on a lot of the movies I watched and putting them up here on reviews on the channel and going over review scores. And that's what I want to do today. I could tell you personally, I enjoyed this movie. It's a little corny, it's a little cheesy, absolutely, but I would give it personally an 8. However, Metacritic did not agree. The critics gave it a 43. We have 8 positive reviews, 15 mixed, 9 negative. We're going to jump right into it. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to hit the subscribe button. Much appreciated. So, right off the bat, the very top review is where I have the game, which is an 80, by Empire, saying, "The last act let down aside, this is a confident and creepy ghoul-in-the-pool horror that makes Bryce McGuire a filmmaker to watch. Wusses bring armbands." I kind of like that review. I kind of do. The AV Club with a 75, saying, "Despite some choppy waters in the back half, this is a fun, funny, often genuinely unnerving horror movie experience, one that might make you think twice about that first swim of the year when the summer rolls around." The reviews that are positive are also kind of corny about this corny movie, I'm not going to lie. Austin Chronicle with a 67. "But just like no sports team can be populated entirely by superstars, there's certainly a place for high-floor horror that understands its audience, works within the confines of its PG-13 rating, and provides just enough visual and storytelling variety to keep the audience entertained." Yeah, that was probably a really good worded review there. I think that it being PG-13 did limit the movie some. That for sure. For sure, being PG-13 limited what you could do. Polygon with a 65, saying, "It's got one terrifically creepy sequence, a genuinely fascinating family story, some solid jokes, and a thermal spring that's also sort of an ancient god. And if that still isn't enough for you, it's also weirdly as much about baseball as it is about swimming at night." That's true. The father, the main character, who was kind of a douche for most of the movie, he cared a lot about baseball, and him getting the rejuvenating powers of the water led to him wanting to revive his baseball career. No spoilers. Don't want to spoil it too much for you if you haven't seen it already, even though it's been out 6 months. Chicago Tribune with a 63, saying, "Night Swims comes from a crafty 2014 short directed by Blackhurst and McGuire, not quite 3 minutes in length, minus end credits. Apples and oranges, I suppose, but the short gets more done in terms of atmosphere." That's a dig right there. They're saying the short was better. Roger Ebert with a 63. "Producers Jason Blum and James Wan, both horror titans, once again show how they freak audiences out while maintaining a sly sense of humor." There's some humor in there. I mean, these Blumhouse movies have it. Like Happy Death Day, I'm a fan of that. So, yeah, I didn't mind seeing some humor in there for sure. I mean, I like humor on this channel. We don't take ourselves too seriously. I mean, I'm a guy in a luchador mask and a hoodie reading you a review about a movie that came out 6 months ago. I mean, if you're watching the video, it says more about you than me, right? Nah, I'm just kidding. I love my audience. The Film Verdict, the 62. "Night Swim mostly delivers, veering from straightforward shocks to campy excess without ever hitting bottom." Paste Magazine with a 61, saying, "The issue with Night Swim isn't that it isn't ridiculous, it's that it doesn't understand quite how ridiculous it is." Fair point. Let's look at the mixed reviews. Telegraph with a 60, saying, "Wyatt Russell and Carrie Cordon's bourbon horror feels like an adaptation of a Stephen King story that he never got around to writing. Love Stephen King. Rolling Stone with a 60. Night Swim eventually runs out of places to go, but not before it weds some sneaky character development to a few good, solid jump moments. It might not find its audience, but it deserves one. I like that review. Even though they only gave it a 6, that was a nice review. IGN gave it a 6, saying Night Swim effectively exploits primal fears around water, but its comedy and horror chops aren't strong enough to keep it from drowning in its more cliched elements. Yes, it's cliched. Full disclosure, it's corny, it's cheesy, it's cliched. It's not meant to be taken too seriously. I don't think anybody actually would be scared by it. But then again, scary movies just don't scare me anymore. They really don't. I enjoy them more for the story. And I don't mind a little bit of comedy thrown in there. The Rap with a 51. Saying it just never goes far enough with its ridiculousness to reach pure entertainment, and it certainly can't be taken seriously enough to justify its melodrama. I kind of agree. New York Times with a 50. The problem with Night Swim is that it's trying to say a little too much, which it isn't a complete pleasure killer, but it can get distracting. I'm not sure what they mean by that. I don't think there was much of a deeper meaning to the movie than what was at the surface level. So I don't know what they're trying to say. Screen Rant with a 50. The film isn't trying to hit us over the head with what it isn't trying to say, but its themes have depth. Again, what depth are we talking about? This movie doesn't have any depth. So whether it's New York Times saying, oh, what it's trying to say deep down didn't really hit, or whether it's Screen Rant saying, well, this is what it's trying to say deep down, there is no deep down to this movie. If you're watching this movie, this is just with some friends on a Friday night, you rent the DVD, you're having a good time, maybe half paying attention to it and kind of laughing at it a little bit, maybe somebody gets jump scared, that's what it is. It's just a fun little movie. Nothing more to it. There's no deeper meaning here. A 50 by Real Views. For those whose only requirements for horror movies are that they avoid the excesses of blood, gore, and violence prevalent in a rated R fare and incorporate a few good jump scares, Night Swim checks the requisite boxes. It's kind of funny, but true. I mean, it does check the boxes. It's not rated R. It doesn't have the gore in there. If it did, I probably would move the movie up the list. But it's PG-13. They have to get it to work, and they did. LA Times with a 50. The ambition here is invigorating, and during its most exhilarating stretches, Night Swim seems to actually be pulling it off, until suddenly it's not. A victim of overplotting, pushing the water thing a little too hard. Kinda true. The theme itself was pushed rather hard. The water. IndieWire with a 42, saying, there is absolutely an audience for this. One that will delight in watching condone full-on battle a pool cover and cackle hearing Russell say with his whole chest, that pool is the best thing that ever happened to me. Okay, IndieWire, whatever you say. The Guardian with a 40, saying Carrie Caudon follows up her Oscar nomination with a thankless piece of Blumhouse schlock that tries and fails to make swimming pools scary. Oh man, The Guardian throwing strays. Man. I mean, I thought the movie was fine. The Hollywood Reporter with a 40. Despite the filmmaker's best efforts to drum up suspense via the usual jump scares, Night Swim turns out to be just as silly as it sounds. I think the advertisement for the movie and the trailers and the lead up to it speak for themselves. There is no deeper meaning to it. It's just a little bit of fun. It's a little cheesy. It's a little comedy. It's a little jump scary. And I think people are trying to read way too much into things or hoping that there's more to it when there isn't. And I think some of the criticism is a little harsh and heavy-handed as well. Screen Daily with a 40. Has the mysteries behind the strange occurrences are slowly revealed. This underpowered horror film starts to drown in cliches and predictable plot twists. Again, we've been over it. Wall Street Journal with a 40. The movie doesn't have the smarts to embrace its own stupidity. I think it does a little bit. I think it does. Wall Street Journal, I think it does. Have a good time, buddy. Seattle Times with a 38. The Collider with a 30, now that we're in negative reviews. Night Swim is a missed opportunity of epic proportions, and it's yet another in a streak of Blumhouse projects failing to bring anything new to the horror genre. Whoa, pause, freeze, stop you right there. I love Blumhouse films. You're going to see a lot of Blumhouse reviews on this channel. And I know a lot of people criticize Blumhouse, and they got a problem with how Blumhouse does things. But a 30, a 3 out of 10, really? Like, that's really bad. And I don't think this movie is really bad. Variety with a 30. Everything is at once telegraphed and derivative. Ouch. Get an ice for that burn. The Variety can't stand this movie. But there's still worse reviews than that. Slant Magazine, Movie Nation, and the San Francisco Chronicle all gave it a 25, with Movie Nation saying, Night Swim never amounts to much more than a dip in lukewarm water. That's it. That's their whole review. The Observer with a 25. We know that they've had a habit of giving movies sometimes a 0. They say, while diverting enough of its forgiving 98-minute runtime, Night Swim neither sinks nor floats. It just wades in the water of whatever. Total Film with a 20, saying a damp squib horror with 0 thrills. Oosh. But the worst review of Night Swim goes to the Boston Globe, which hurts my soul because I usually love the Boston Globe. They give it a 12, saying Night Swim has its characters make infuriatingly asinine decisions to serve its plot. Bravo. Guys, that's it for the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm gonna go take a dip in the pool. Peace. I'm out. Have a good one.